Hello, this is not the Mississippi King. This is a robot doppelganger of the Mississippi King.
No, actually, it is the Mississippi King, welcoming y'all back to my next Let's Play. Let's play Golden Axe Warrior. Now, if you know me, you'll know that I'm not particularly much of a fan of the Golden Axe games. They're not bad, they're pretty decently made, and it's not their design that I really don't like about them. So, you may be wondering, why are you playing this game? Well, be patient, son, I'll explain it to you if you just wait a minute. Okay? This opening text basically just explains that Death Adder is invading a country called Firewood. Which, by the way, is a silly name for a country. Seriously, who names their country Firewood? That's almost asking for trouble to occur. And in the end, Death Adder burns Firewood. Naming a country Firewood is like naming a bank Stolen, or a bomb shelter cannon fodder. It's a terrible idea. So, this is the title screen, everyone, and it looks innocent enough. So, let's start a new game, and of course, as always, I'm going to go as M. King. Now, you may be wondering why a beat-em-up would have you enter in your name like this, and you'll soon see why. That's kind of an abrupt thing to tell us. I mean, he just killed our parents. Now this should look suspiciously familiar, especially if you've played The Legend of Zelda. Yes, it's a complete ripoff of The Legend of Zelda. Now, to be clear, it's not a bad ripoff of The Legend of Zelda. Yes, it is shameless, yes, it does shamelessly copy a lot of the same elements, but it's a good ripoff of The Legend of Zelda. That's why I'm playing it. And it actually does some things even better than The Legend of Zelda. So, this is the overworld, and these are some enemies. See how similar this is? I mean, yeah. When I went into the game, I had no idea what I was getting into. Like, the only reason I've even heard of this game is because it was an unlockable for one of the collections I own. And, yeah, I'm not playing the original Master System version because those cartridges are freaking expensive. Now, I'm really good at this game, and you can expect some Class A skill. You didn't say that! I don't care what you think you saw, Internet, you didn't say that! They are slaughtering me. Man, guess I gotta watch myself. So, a lot of the enemies are shamelessly copied and pasted off of The Legend of Zelda. But that is no reason to ignore this game. It's kind of obscure, and it's really well made. So this is our first dungeon, and the reason I'm taking it on so early is because the item is really good. What item is that? Well, you'll see. And, yes, you go through dungeons just like The Legend of Zelda. As I've said before, It's a shameless ripoff. But I like the improved movement speed and the improved screen crawl, as it both really help improve the pace. Now, not everything in this game is done better than The Legend of Zelda, and we'll cover that when we get to it, don't worry. But for now, just sit back and relax. And yes, I realize these things aren't technically called dungeons, they're called labyrinths, but let's face it, they're dungeons. You collect keys, you solve some quote-unquote puzzles, which, just like The Legend of Zelda, are kind of an insult to your intelligence because of how stupidly easy they are. I mean, once you figure out the puzzles, once you figure out one puzzle, you've pretty much figured out all of them. However, the dungeons are still just as enjoyable as in The Legend of Zelda. And, the one thing I haven't really mentioned yet is that the game looks much better than The Legend of Zelda. The desert in this game looks like an actual desert. Beaches look like actual beaches. And here we get our first dungeon item. Stop me if any of this sounds the slightest bit familiar. The Battle Axe. And this has a much better range than the sword. And fortunately, it also does more damage, and we're going to be using it for most of the game. That is why I came to the first dungeon so early on. It will come in handy to have this quite a bit. Now all that's left is to fight the boss that guards the crystal. Yes, instead of collecting pieces of the Triforce, I mean, you collect crystals. Which, you know, they're basically pieces of the Triforce. Let's not fool ourselves. And they can be found at each dungeon, like at the end. And they're guarded by a boss. Yes, a boss. I mean, could they come up with anything original? I'm probably complaining a bit too much. I don't want to give you the idea that I don't like this game. I really do. It's really unoriginal. And we're about to come up to our first boss right now. It's right through this door. How quit it? Leave me alone. Okay. Oh no. Space-time warp! Now let's do it better this time. Not screw up. So, this guy should go down pretty easily. I mean, he is the first boss after all, and there we go. There's the crystal. And our maximum life has increased. Sound familiar? Now, this is one of the things that the game actually does worse than The Legend of Zelda. In The Legend of Zelda, you were transported out of the dungeon once you collected a piece of the Triforce. In this game, you have to walk all the way back through the dungeon just to leave. That is kind of annoying. Now, in future parts, I'm going to be editing out all of this backtracking, but for the first dungeon, I thought I wanted to just show you what it's like and to show you that you actually have to backtrack. That is not cool. Here we can save our game and, let's do that. There we go. So, there is one more thing that I have to show you. It's to the south here, and go east, I believe. Yes. And then head up here. Then we'll meet a dwarf, I think it is, and he'll increase our maximum life. So hooray for that. Yes. Stop me if this sounds the slightest bit familiar. Actually, you know what? Let's stop for now. In the next part, where we will finally go to the second dungeon and look around a bit more and see if we'll find anything interesting. See you next time. This is the Mississippi King signing out.